It was our honor to complete our travels. There are many kinds of spiritual experiences. And at Inner Quest, we focus primarily on going within and enlightening our consciousness so that we can be more progressed, more awake, more kind and loving in our world, so we can actually live at a higher level of consciousness. And we focus on the internal awakening with the individual. But there are times when we are called to participate in a more active awakening on a more global level. And this is a time when we are called to build a bridge. To build a bridge based on our understanding to perhaps tap other levels of energy and consciousness. And if you were not with us on this trip, you were certainly with us on this trip. You all were holding the energy of home. You were holding the energy of everything that we believe, all that we are to do. And it was not yours to do. It was yours to hold the frequency for us here. But know that all that we did in our journey was a part of our church's heart. It was a part of who we are. So I wanted to read with you out of the Aquarian Gospel. This is Aquarian 91. And Jesus is speaking. All men are sons of God, and if they live a holy life, they are always at home with God. They see and understand the works of God, and in His sacred name they can perform these works. The lightnings and the storm are messengers of God, as well as our sunshine, rain, and dew. The virtue of the heavens are in God's hands, and every loyal son may use these virtues and these powers. Man is the delegate of God to do His will on earth. Man can heal the sick, control the spirits of the air, and raise the dead. Because I have the power to do these things is not strange. All men may gain the power to do these things. Conquering lower self is first, and conquer they will. Man is the delegate of God to do His work on earth. So, there was a cry in the universe, and the universe said, "Oh God, we've got to move some energy. We need to get some energy going." And God said, "Have you seen my girl Cindy? She's got a cute little church, and she's got lots of folks, and they are well capable of going out and doing the work that needs to be done." And so it began, our little beautiful holy quest. We started out with the intention of having a focused intent. The intention was focused intention, focused impact. That was our guide word, focused impact. To the untrained eye, we were a bunch of loud, happy Americans. But it all changed when we made a circle. Locking into place the energies, then focused impact began. And we were very blessed to have a lot of experiences and activities. I can only share with you my perception. There are so many stories, so many beautiful photographs that validate what we experienced and what we went through. So I wanted to share with you a few of the highlights and ask you to be with me, as I'm sure you were. When we first arrived in Scotland, when we first arrived in Ireland, 3 hours late, we went to a place called Newgrange. Newgrange is, they say, 6,000 years old, 3,500 BC, even greater perhaps. And the very first thing that we did after we, of course, did our circle, and these are circles in front of God and everybody. We do not care, we don't hide, we just gather up and circle up and do our prayer. And we're just uniting with the land. We wanted to let the land know we were there. And we called in the beautiful energy of Christ and all of our energies just to experience. So we went into this cairn. A cairn is a passage tomb, and it was large enough for us to go in and stand up. And it was very, very old. It was designed to catch the light December 21, to catch the light and focus it into the cairn, and then the cairn is filled with light on the winter solstice. It's amazing to me how you can go so many places throughout the world, and they know how to create a little bitty opening and a bunch of rock that catches the light and pulls it through on December 21st or thereabouts. And these are different cultures in different countries and different continents. How they do this and why, I do not know. It's still a mystery. But we were in there, and there was a beautiful being of light. There were actually 3 of them. listening to the girl as she goes through her spiel and all of the tourists standing there. And then she's asking everybody to leave, and I'm like, no. So I'm grabbing as many people as I can grab, and there ended up to be 7 of us. And the tour guide did not leave, because this is a sacred site. She's not allowed to leave us in unattended. So we circled up, and we sent beautiful love to these 3 ancient beings. And by ancient, I mean ancient. I mean so ancient. They're human, yet not. I have no idea. And they were so filled with love for mankind. And as we did our circle and sent love to them, just to let them know we're here, they said, thank you for seeing us. Thank you for paying attention. And this beautiful blessing occurred between our little group of merry travelers and these beautiful beings of light. That blessing stayed with us through the rest of our journey. That day we went to the hill of Tara, where the stone of destiny is. And the stone would cry when the proper king was there, and lots of fable and folklore about it. So of course we went and talked to the stone. So there are several of us talking to the stone, and I felt immediately that the stone was speaking of the fact that mankind has lost his identity, forgotten who he was. And as I'm sharing that, Kristen got this very specific. You are already the totality of your potential. This was the stone of destiny. You are already the totality of your potential. Can you feel the truth flowing through you? And yet we forget that as mankind. And in that particular location, there was a lot of energy of mankind struggle to understand to power versus God, power versus love. So we went on to the city of Dublin. In Dublin, that next morning, we all got to be in the human race. We were with the humans on the planet. It was so much fun. We all did the hop-on, hop-off bus. We're all touring around, and everything is fun. Isn't it fun when Americans are there and we're loud and we're laughing? And yes. One of our first stops was the Dublin Castle. And there's a big screen and TV cameras. People are starting to gather. A bunch of young people are starting to gather. And there was a young man at the corner having a cigarette. So I went over and asked him, what's going on? Hey. And he said, there was a referendum that was voted on the day before. And it was a referendum to say yes to gay marriages. And he said, right in that building up there, they're counting our district right now. And he said, the inside is history. Outside, history is being made. And I said, what do you think will pass? And he said, the most conservative, staunch people, their counts have been coming in yes. So they were all so hopeful that this referendum would pass. And so throughout the day, as we were traveling, we'd see people with the vote yes on their lapels, and just the beautiful energy of support. I ran into a Catholic woman in one of our stops, and I said, what about the referendum? Of course, I asked everybody. And she said, well, I'm Catholic. And of course, I voted yes. I said, you're Catholic and you voted yes. Because we have stories about the Irish Catholics, right? Of when I know people who were raised in there that were my age, and it was not quite so liberated. And she said, of course, Catholics say yes to everything. It's the Protestants that say no. It's like, okay. And I said, that's interesting because we don't hear that. We hear the opposite. She goes, I was raised Catholic. Why would I go to a church that tells me I'm a second-class citizen? No. So there was this beautiful energy of all types of people coming on board. So we're touring, and I want to share 2 wee little things with you. We're touring, and we go to the Cathedral of St. Patrick. And we're walking around, and I'm asking our tour guide, of course, about why he calls St. Patrick not Catholic. I said, excuse me, why do you think Patrick was a Protestant? And he said, well, Catholics didn't exist until the Reformation. I went, yeah, no. But it was very interesting that the political or the religious positions had become political positions. And they were just rewriting history as they go. So I stood in this cathedral and I said, okay, God, I'm here for a reason. I don't know what it is because obviously I can't communicate with this one. And there's no dead people to talk to. What am I here for? And in that moment, I heard this beautiful choir. And they were singing the song that was just sung. No way. In the middle of this cathedral. No way. And so, of course, I ran over and I'm front and center watching these beautiful young kids singing the most amazingly beautiful song. And I'm, yay, when they're done, and just being totally American. And I went to the man who was leading them. I said, did you just grab people at the entrance? And he said, of course I did. But it was the University of Kentucky. And they were traveling through Ireland performing. But the acoustics, the beauty, it was amazing. It was like, thank you, God, that's why I'm here, for that moment. Then we went to another church. Again, we're in the population, moving around. And a lot of our people had some great epiphanies on this one. It was the Christ Church. And so I'm just scanning energy, and a young girl comes to me, and she goes, I'm by myself. And she said, are you one of those? And I said, yes, are you? And she said, no, but I've seen it on TV. And I said, okay. And her name was Charlotte. And so she went on, then we cooked up again a little bit later in a haunted area. So I got to show her, see, feel here, now feel here, do you see the difference? Now this is what you can do when you run across situations. So I had a little moment of teaching, and don't you know that made me so happy. Charlotte was a student from Missouri, and she was on an exchange program with a group of her college. It was a beautiful affirmation for me that we're all, put us anywhere, we're all people. We're all learning and growing in our own way, and it was just such a comfort to me that you could put me anywhere, God will find me food. I'll get to teach, and I'll get to listen to beautiful music. Later that day, part of our assignment was to build an etheric peace wall in Dublin. And we all came charging in from having been out in the city, from having been with the people. We still had heard, we didn't know for certain, but we had heard that the referendum had passed. They were just finalizing everything. At one point when we were traveling, I heard a big yay coming from the street, so I assumed it had passed. So we all gathered before we got on the bus, and the energy was so strong. The beings, the light beings were with us, Christ was with us, God was with us, everything, the nature spirits, fairies, I mean, any being on the other side that could be with us was with us. And it was fast, and we just lined up. Well, we actually did a prayer, and then we lined up one at a time to create an etheric peace wall. And as each person lined up, they said one word to charge the energy. Diamira started with Christ consciousness, Curtis, signet, Charmaine, brotherhood, Doris, compassion, Jana, compassion, Reba, love, Doug, light, Kristen, namaste, Shelley, hope, Audrey, nature, Patty, harmony, Adriana, awareness, Darshan, joy, Patrick, now, and Cindy, God. And as each person said their word, we faced alternately to create a beautiful wall of love. And it anchored instantly. There was no stopping it. It anchored so deep in the ground and so high in the sky and so out into the world. When we had the opportunity to sign on the Belfast Peace Wall, which is in Northern Ireland, everyone signed their word. So the word that was on the Dublin Etheric Wall is now on the literal wall in Belfast. And as we had finished doing this beautiful work, Doug and Reba were standing there, and Doug said, Cindy, this is the perfect timing. Because we had debated, should we do it the night before? When do we need to build a peace wall? He said, this is perfect timing. They, the country, had just voted for brotherhood. That's why it was so ready. They were ready for this peace wall. Because they had said yes to eliminate prejudice in their country. So it was just a beautiful experience that you all are all a part of. And as I got on the bus to travel that day, this is what I heard. I could not have come with a more prepared group. Everybody stepped up and channeled exactly what they needed to channel for that day. So, off we went to do our spiritual work yet again. We went to a place called Ballynoe. Ballynoe is in Northern Ireland. It's an ancient circle of stone. We activated Ballynoe. We did not activate everything. To activate something is this. You start the vibration within your own heart. You start the vibration within the object, the stone, or whatever is held within it. You connect it with the vibration of God. You connect it with any vibration that happens to be indigenous to the area. And it just keeps vibrating and the vibrations come into a harmony. That's called activation. Do you all understand that? Okay. You can activate the ground around your home. You can activate anything. And then once you get it going, then you can direct the energy. It was such a powerful, for me, space. When I got there, it was a long path together. When I got there and went in, it was home to me. And these stones were vibrating. They were not quiet. They were already awake. They were already being. And we all gathered around and took our time first to feel the stones, and then we gathered around to do the activation. While we were doing this, Mike and Susan Coffey were in England. There's a stone circle in Swineside, Cumbria, England, which is at the same latitude as Ballino in Ireland. So they're just right across the pond. So I was on the phone with Susan. Well, as we began to activate here, they were activating there. 55 stones. Susan stood in the middle. Mike stood at the door. And we arced to them first, got everything going, and they could feel when we came to them and through them, and we got a beautiful energy going to connect the two locations. But what was very interesting, you could feel all of the ancient beings of light. You could feel that this place was charged with this depth of pure power, pure energy that has not been activated or not been channeled for a long time. So our guidance was this. When we got it rolling, this was the prayer. We ask that love be restored to its purest power. We ask to dissolve all energies that keep love from being pure. Dilute the filters that keep love from being hurt. And think about the power of that. How often do we approach love with memories of hurt, or with memories of detachment, or with memories that it's not good for us? When love is absolutely the greatest power of God. And so this beautiful prayer went off on this beautiful energy. And the minute the prayer went off, the energy went, ooh, ooh. It got heavy. It got so heavy. And then it took a while for it to build back up again, because it was such a deep prayer that we put out there for all of mankind, that we could lift the energy of the prejudice against love, so love could be the pure power that it is. Mike and Susan had a beautiful experience at the same time. The wind was howling where they were, and as soon as they locked into the prayer as well, it stopped. And Mike felt this reservoir of peace start emitting from where he stood. I wish we had had cameras on. I wish someone had been filming the whole thing, because it would have been amazing to see. I wish we had had cameras on both locations. It would have been amazing to see the energy and the impact. As we were doing our circle, there was a cow behind us, literally, no kidding. We were in deep energy movement, and it sounded like it was right behind Curtis, and it said, wow. Not move. Wow. And at first I thought there's a human making fun of us. But it was a cow. And it was our affirmation that nature spirits were all cooperating, and we're opening up this vast, beautiful energy, a beautiful portal of life. So, it was fun. We went to many places. I know that being in our world today, we look at the matter that's formed in front of us. We're just learning to understand when Grandpa knocks at the door and Grandpa's dead, that it's really Grandpa. We're just now accepting that our relatives and friends from the other side can come talk to us. That was so taboo 20 years ago. But we're now going, okay, that's okay. Learning to accept that there are angels, we're getting there. And learning to accept there might be fairies. Maybe? Yeah, there are. So, there are nature spirits, there are elementals, there are all types of beings in the inner realm. Science has proven there are 11 dimensions that they know of. They have no idea who lives there. Why would we think we're the only one? Why would we think that we're it, we're all there is? You know, we don't make the flowers grow. I don't know if you've realized that. We do not make those flowers grow. They grow of their own accord. But there are energies. So we did see in the Dark Hedges fairies. We saw them at Hazelwood. We saw them at S Castle. And before I left, we had talked about the fairies on our property. So I went down to talk to our fairies. And I said, is there anything you want me to take? And they gave me the top of an acorn. Well, I couldn't find it for anything once I got over there. So we were standing at the Dark Hedges, which you've seen in Game of Thrones. Yes, you've seen that on TV. We're standing at the Dark Hedges talking about the fairies over the edge, and they're getting ready to leave, blah, blah, and they don't like us that much. I mean, they like us okay, but they're kind of... And I said to them, you know, we're not here to hurt or harm, we're just here to acknowledge your presence. I can see you, obviously, you're there. So, when we work with our fairies on our property, and they went, you have fairies? Yes, we do. And then someone next to me said, didn't they send something? And I said, yeah, I can't find what our fairies sent. And I opened my bag, and there it was, the top of the acorn. I said, yeah, our fairies in Atlanta sent this to connect with you guys. And they got so excited that there were people who talked to fairies in another part of the world, and they don't have direct communication with our fairies. So I flipped it down to them. They were so excited that now they could talk to the guys here. It's like it was a little satellite for them or something. And I'm not sure how it would work. But it was real. It was real. And if you don't believe it, look at the photographs. I mean, the girls were great, getting all sorts of documentation of what we saw and experienced. God was really good to us. So we saw ghosts at Dunluce Castle, and boy, did we deal with them. Never take a rock without permission. They will follow you. And they will ask for it back. We climbed more ancient sites. We climbed Caramorn, Knocknarea. Knocknarea was so high, so narrow, so deep. I'm crawling up there. My knee says no more. Doris, 73 years old, right to the top. So we had a lot of fun. But I wanted to share with you our very, very last day. We went to a place called Karakil. And again, it's long walking up this hill. The sun is shining, our bus is there. He said, the bus driver, we had our coats on, he said, you're going to be tearing the clothes off because it's going to be warm once you get up there. It's like, okay, great. We're walking up this long, long hill, and we finally make it to some cairns. There's 2 cairns. Remember tomb passages? Well, we get to one, and you have to shimmy to get inside. So, of course, we shimmy to get inside. And there's a being of light there. And there were 7 of us in there. And it's like, oh my God, there's a being of light here. So we did our circle to talk to the being of light. And I said hello, and I said, you know, it's 2015. And he went, I know. Oh, you haven't been stuck here this whole time? No. I've been watching you guys. He's been watching mankind. It was almost like this being came pre-Ice Age. It's like so far back. So very far back. So we're circled up, and we're doing our prayer and talking. And I said, he was talking about how he watched the evolution of mankind. And I said, well, what can we do to help? And his answer, love. Just love. Isn't that the answer to everything? Just. And so we're praying and talking, and the place is just filled with light. And all of a sudden we hear this pounding of sleet on the rock outside. And we don't know what's going on. And Doug and Reba happened to be at the cairn next door, and they thought they were the only ones up there. And Doug said, what is going on? Because it just came out of nowhere. Doug said, what's going on? He goes, there can't be somebody over there doing something. So he went to the other cairn where we were, stuck his head in, came out and said, there's somebody over here doing something. So the energy had created this beautiful opening, and the sleet kept coming. So we all crawled down the hill, and just the sleet was just amazingly hard. The wind was strong, and when we got back down to the bus, the sun was shining. Later that day, many miles away, we went to a place called Rathcrogan, did our little thing, and this time we were all together. And there was a royal mound that we all had to see. So we all crawled on top of the royal mound, the sun is shining, it's beautiful, we're doing our circle, we're sending love to the land, to the people, to the energies, to everyone we've touched. We're just really, it's our last day. We're just really loving it. And everyone is sending a blessing. So we're going around the circle. I've got my back. People are in a circle around me, and the wind starts. Gale force winds. I'm holding on to Diemir, and I forgot who was on my other side, grounding down so we don't blow away. And then the sleet. And the sleet pummels us. It's just will not stop. It's hitting my back. It's hitting their faces. And I, for a minute, I thought, oh, they're going to be doing fast blessings. Oh, no, they did not. They held their ground. It didn't matter if it was hitting them in the face or not. They said everything they wanted to say and passed it to the next person. And our circle was absolutely complete in the most heartfelt way. And we were being sleeted upon the entire time. Blowing winds, sleet. It was our confirmation. It was our confirmation that we truly had touched and created an energy connection with the other side. One that could now be used to bless that land. So we walked down, being sleeted all the way, until we were walking in the sunshine, and the bus was right there. And we told the driver we had just gotten sleeted on, and he thought we were telling stories. He couldn't see it from where he was. It was a quarter mile away. We were up the knoll. You couldn't see the knoll. You couldn't see what was going on. We went and touched this beautiful energy of all these consciousnesses we do not understand. But we had the opportunity to feel the reality of them. We bring back this beautiful awareness that there is so much we do not understand. And what is the mission that's given to us in all of this? Love. Just love. What if we could look at our own property, our land, our homes with the same amazement and the same wonder that we did that? What if we could bless the nature spirits even if we don't even believe in them? What if we could say, if there's any fairies, you guys can live here, it's fine. What if we just looked at the world as if it had more to give to us, and we could live in cooperation with those higher energies that are around us? Wouldn't that make us more connected with all that the universe has and the whole world? Just by knowing we may be the star of the show, but there are a lot of producers, there are a lot of stagehands, there are a lot of writers, there are a lot of beings that are helping us. You know, we're the star, of course we are. But we have a massive amount of helpers. What if we just honored that? How would that be? I have no idea how all of this will translate. I know that we are connected. I know you can go out there now and talk to the Irish fairies. Is that a no? We are one. For me, one of the personal lessons that I got out of this entire trip, this is for me personally. I am so aware what you do not invest in atrophies for you. The energy of that land was right in front of all the people that lived there. All they had to do was reach out and touch it. But because they did not invest curiosity, intention, we had virtually every sacred site almost to ourselves. And I'm not saying it's a negative thing, it's just an awareness. Those beings were delighted to talk to somebody. They were delighted. Their presence had atrophied in that culture and in that space. What do we have in our world that we do not invest in? You know, if you did not come and invest in InnerQuest, InnerQuest would be here. I'd be doing something else. Teaching and listening to music somewhere. You know, I'd be doing something else. Those of you that don't invest in your relationships, you know what happens. It atrophies. And you know how it ends up. It disappears for you. I think that is the greatest message I got from touching these beings of light. Invest yourselves, invest yourselves. It doesn't matter what you invest in. Invest yourselves in what you want to live for you, where you want to be. And love. Just love. Just love. You'll get to come back again if you want another experience. But do the best you can to have the world you want to have this lifetime. And the world is changing. It's time. It's time for all of our consciousness to raise back up, to understand who we are, and to begin living outside of the prejudicial ideas about God, living outside of the limited ideas about God, living outside of that, and moving into God truly is all things. Does that make sense? We had a beautiful, beautiful journey, and the testament to that is this. On the bus ride to the airport, the question was, where are we going next? So, it was so it was a wonderful experience for all of us and for our church and church family. InterQuest, you are now famous in the universe. All right, let's take this in for just a moment. Would you get on the floor? Father, Mother God, I ask that your infinite love fill this space. And I ask that everyone here feel that depth of love that can feed and guide them. We ask to be lifted up into your heart, God, above all the limitation. And I would invite you all just to feel yourself lifting into a space where there is a beautiful light, where there is a sense of hope and joy. And as you lift into this space, become aware that you are completely and totally perfect, accepted and loved exactly as you are. As I connect with God, I am honored, I am loved. Feel a desire within your heart to maintain that connection. And as I connect with God, I can radiate that love to the world. Breathe and let your body be fed. And as you are in this beautiful light, feel that you are now one with all the universe. You may not understand, but you have access to. You are the unlimited child of God. And in this moment, I would like to send a beautiful thank you to all of the beings, both on this earth plane and beyond, that we encountered in our journey. So let's just take a breath, and as we exhale, we're going to send love to our Ireland beings. Let it go. And we thank you, God. Let your focus come back to your body, the chair that holds you. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. Different service today. No homework. How do we talk experiential energy? How do we explain what was felt and seen? The group's intention is to write a book that chronicles their experiences and attach the photos that are unexplainable. Absolutely unexplainable. So, at least it will be chronicled for anyone who cares to read. But feel the brotherhood with all of life. Go invest yourselves.
There you go.